Hey, I want to tell you about Moto brand. Moto brand was founded during the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic when the sport that we live for was taken from so many of us, whether it's cycling or moto. Waking up on a Saturday morning knowing that your local track was closed, there would be no Supercross, and for many of us that we couldn't even hit our favorite local riding spot or trail with our crew. We are forced to be reminded of how much the sport of moto and cycling truly means to us. Moto brand represents a collection of individuals that not only ride, but live to ride. It's what we think of at all times of the day, and sometimes at a detriment to your relationship with your significant other. It's for those that look at their motorcycle or their bicycle as part of their identity. Maybe it's the way that you bond with your son or your daughter or your spouse. Perhaps it's your way to blow off stress of your day job, or even, hey, it is what it is, maybe even it's your marriage. This sport is more than just a sport. For many of us, it's a way of life. It's what keeps us ticking. It's what keeps us living. Moto brand was created for a purpose, to be more than just a shirt that you can throw on in the morning, but these designs represent who you are and what you stand for. So I encourage you to head over to the motobrand.com, check out our collection. We have a pedal collection and we have a throttle collection, and there are more designs to come that stand for something. So head over to motobrand.com and we'll see you there.
I want to tell you about something special that RacerX is doing right now. If you go to racerxonline.com/moto marketing, be sure to use our link. You can subscribe and get the Nationals box. This is pretty exciting. Check this out. They have the 2020 Pro Motocross Souvenir Program, print plus digital RacerX magazine subscription, so you get the traditional magazine as well as right to your phone or your computer. You get the Marty Smith cover poster, 2020 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross sticker, and the 2020 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross t-shirt, and a pretty sweet little collector's national box that it comes in, all for the $50 subscription. You get all that. Pretty sweet. Be sure to go to racerxonline.com/moto marketing and get all the swag.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler. Appreciate you guys being with us today. We've got a great guest. We've got Jason Parsons. He's the manager at Fasst Company. Many of you have seen Fasst Company's product, the Flexx bar, whether it's on mountain bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs. A really cool product, a really cool technology, something very different than what we're used to, right? So we're going to talk to Jason about that today and just the company in general. So Jason, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Luke. I appreciate it, man. Big fan of the show.
So, well, I'm a big fan of the product that you guys had. I saw the motorcycle bar at our local motorcycle dealership, RG Motorsports, a couple years ago, and was captivated by it. I was like, man, that's really cool. And then we were just talking about Adam McGill, who's a XC1 ATV racer on the GNCC circuit, somebody I grew up with, and he's from my hometown in West Virginia. I know him very well, and he showed me his e-bike at one of the first rounds of the series this year, and he's like, dude, you got to check this thing out. And it had the Flexx bar on there as well. So I was intrigued by that product, and I found out that you listened to the show. And I was like, man, we got to get you on. So I'm excited to dive in and learn more about the product and how you guys promote the technology that is in a product that's been around for years. The handlebar, you guys have reinvented that technology, and we're going to talk about how you do it. Before we do, how did you come to be at Fasst Company? You said you're the manager. You wear several hats. How did all that get started for you?
Man, I guess I would say that, it kind of reminded me I was listening to your podcast that you did on your story and growing up and everything. And there were so many similarities with my story and how I came to be with Fasst Company and all these guys. And man, I guess it just starts with being a big fan of the sport. Like whenever I was growing up, I just wanted to race motorcycles, and I was just infatuated with it, right? And as I got older, I kind of progressed through the ranks, and I was a decent racer. Like I've raced works at a pretty high level, and I've raced most of my life, right? And I ran the Flexx bars. It was one of the few products that I really believed in as a racer. And, one thing led to another. I built a really good relationship with the guys here at Fasst Company. And, man, it started out, almost 10 years ago, just doing trackside support, just going to events and demoing handlebars. And then it led on to rider support. And then, I graduated school and I moved out here. And so it's been, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, if I would have been here, I don't think that would have been the case, but it's just one thing's led to another, and it's been cool, man. I mean, really it starts with just being a kid and being a big fan of the sport. And for me, I mean, if you would have asked me when I was a kid, I wanted to race professionally, but which I did. But I mean, doing this is the next best thing in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's something that I love, and with it kind of bridging over to the mountain bike stuff, it's awesome. I love it.
So it's similar to, we just had JT, Jason Thomas on not long ago, and he talked about, I mean, obviously everybody knows he's at Fly, but he believed in that product. So it's easy for us to buy into the hype that he builds around Fly, because we know it's not BS. I mean, he rode it, he wore it as an athlete. You were the same thing as an athlete. I didn't realize that you ran the Flexx bar. You didn't get a job here, and then now you kind of sing the praises of something that you really don't believe in, but you're paid to say you do. You really did believe in it, and the proof is the fact that you ran it. So did you use that relationship from being an athlete that ran their product to kind of try to get your foot in the door with that company? Is that how that started?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say the cool thing is that to some degree, it was kind of still a small business when I started running the Flexx bars. It was, I mean, they're based here on the West Coast, and so I would see the guys at the races, and like I said, it was a small to medium sized brand, and it was a lot with a brand like that. It's a lot easier to help them move forward, right?
Yeah.
And when I started running the products, and I was obviously a big fan of them, a genuine fan of them, but I'd be out riding at a local moto track or something, and I'd have people come up to me and, man, what do you think of those? And I would just give them genuine feedback, right? And at that point, then they would reach out to Fasst Company and, oh, Jason said blah, blah, blah. And so then the guys at Fasst Company reached out to me, and they were like, man, we haven't had anybody like you as far as a brand ambassador that's really turned so many people onto the product. And, similar to JT, I just kind of bridged that gap where I was kind of in the, that higher tier of racers, and I had some credibility and a little bit of regional influence. And, it was awesome. It's been real fun. And I mean, similar to JT, I mean, people know that for myself, before I worked here at Fasst Company, I worked on a naval base out in Southern California. So, basically I transplanted my whole life out here to Southern Utah, just to be here for Fasst Company. So,
yeah. That's cool, man. It's rewarding to be in a sport that you enjoy and that you love. I mean, it's obviously, I think everybody has days that are harder than others, but it's much easier when you're coming to a job that you're like, man, I'm really, you were talking about Adam McGill comes by, I'm sure your cycling and moto athletes come by. And I mean, that's like, that being part of your job is fun. The fact that I get paid to go to GNCC races and race my mountain bike, and I'm able to tell my wife, like, look, sweetheart, that's part of my job. And it's like, it puts a smile on my face. And then I come to work and we do this stuff for moto clients. You've got to have that similar feeling. It's rewarding.
For sure. And another thing that you mentioned in that podcast that you did on yourself, you said, like, it's still, there's still times where, you'll send like a text message to your parents just because you realize, the younger Luke would appreciate what you're doing now. And it's the same thing for myself, where like some days I just have to look around and be like, man, the 10-year-old Jason would be pumped.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about Fasst Company. You said Flexx, the handlebar system you guys have is like the flagship product. Do you guys have other products that are are already out in the marketplace, or you're working on developing that you could talk about, or is it really the sole focus of Fasst Company is Flexx?
I wouldn't say the sole focus is the Flexx handlebar, but it's pretty close. The company was actually born with, it was born in the late 90s based around the spoke torque wrench, which was our first product. Cole, the owner, he was, Supercore Moto guy. His older brother was racing Supercross in the late 90s. And at that point, things definitely weren't as developed as they are now. Wheel maintenance is uncharted territory and things like that. So basically they were just fixing problems that they were having with their dirt bikes back then. And so really the company was born around the spoke torque wrench as a college project for Cole. And then, 2 or 3 years later, they developed the handlebar. We have some brake kits like brake return springs and clevises and rim lock spacers, hand guards. I mean, we've got a bunch of stuff now.
Yeah.
But really, I would say it was born around the spoke torque wrench, the brake kits, and then went on to the handlebars and the foot pegs and all that.
So with the handlebars, for anybody that hasn't seen it, do you have one at your desk by chance?
I do not.
Not to put you on the spot.
I can get one, though.
So while you're getting that, is it quick? If not, don't worry about it.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. We'll grab one.
So while he's grabbing that, it's such a unique product because the handlebar, while there's a lot of technology that goes into the metal and the bends and all of this, for the most part, it's a solid object, right? We all know what a handlebar is. If you haven't seen a Flexx handlebar, it has some additional components to it that allow it to do what it says, to flex. And what I've found is you're not just going to stand there and bend it, but at the at the hinge points, depending on what type of spacer you have in there, what consistency the rubber is, it's going to flex a little more than others. So when Jason brings that back and shows us, we'll talk about what impact does that have on the rider. And I've heard everything from arm pump reduction, just the way that it feels. I mean, you hear Kiefer talking on a lot of his podcasts about the flex that a Rinthal or a Pro Tape or another bar has. Flexx handlebars brings another element to that, and it's something that I've kind of been intrigued by. So Jason's got a couple of his products, and listen, if you're listening to this on iTunes, be sure to check it out. We are, as many episodes as we can, when we can get a guest on camera, we are doing a video episode, and this is a benefit of that. So Jason's going to be able to show us what he's got. So Jason, walk us through what you have here.
So this is the mountain bike bar that you're looking at.
Okay.
Basically, a little hard to tell, but you've got a compression elastomer tucked down in there, rebound elastomer on bottom. So it's all tunable. And it's really just the handle movement of the bar. It's only moving a couple millimeters at the bar end, super subtle. But yeah, basically just minimizing abuse to the hands, wrists, elbows, all that stuff.
So it's and the ATV and the motorcycle bars all look very similar. I mean, it's essentially
super similar. Yep. So this is the ATV bar. A little bigger, a little different design, but ultimately similar. You've got the compression elastomer, rebound elastomer, all tunable with the elastomer nut. So yeah, it's basically, so cool. I'd say a little bigger, a little bulkier, just for the speeds, the weight, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But really similar design, all things considered.
So what is the purpose of the technology in the product? Is it simply a feel type thing? Is it to reduce arm pump? Is it all the above? What do we have going on?
All the above, for sure. Everybody's a little different with what they want out of the bar. Some folks just want it so they can hit obstacles harder. And then some folks have, carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, broken wrist, like Stu Baylor, for example, he's missing the scaphoid bone in his hand. So, a little different with everybody, I would say.
Yeah. So we've got Jason Parsons, the manager at Fasst Company and Flexx Bar, with us today. We're going to take a really quick break. When we get back, we will take a deeper dive into what have these guys done to really promote the technology behind that. So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, big shout out to our friends at FMF. Little D and the guys are always doing some pretty exciting things, not just with the performance products, but man, they've got the coolest apparel in the game, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to get that at a little bit of a discount. If you go to FMF and pick up any gear you'd like, hats, shirts, whatever it is, upon checkout, if you enter the code MMP30, MMP30, you can get 30% off. So MMP30 at checkout and get 30% off your order on FMF apparel. All right, welcome back to the show. Again, we've got Jason Parsons from Fasst Company with us today. Jason, you just showed us the bar, and obviously the ATV and the motorcycle bar does look very different than the traditional bar that somebody has. It is more of an expensive premium product for somebody that it can help them with their riding for sure. You know, it's gonna be a no-brainer for them, but compared to a traditional bar that doesn't have the technology that you guys are pushing out, the price is pretty significant. Is the price differences? How did you guys go about bringing that message to the market to help somebody justify that price and explain the technology behind it? Because to some it might be obvious, to others it's not going to be as obvious to them. So what have you guys done now or in the past to educate the marketplace on that?
And to be honest, a big part of it's been through these last couple of years. Yeah, last couple of years has been through social media. A big part of really how we're able to get that message across is that the fact the bar is so tunable. Mm-hmm. We used to have the demo truck on the Moto side. We had a really good success rate with that. Basically, if people rode with the bar on their own bike, it was just a different discussion, right? They would ride with the bar and then they would go home on Tuesday or Wednesday and they'd ride with a rigid bar again, and then it was eye-opening. And so that's kind of what we did on the Moto side. We had really good luck with that. Same thing on the mountain bike side. Just lots of handlebar demos, definitely.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that unfortunately people, the best way for them to understand it is to try it. Which it's impossible for you guys to be at all the GNCCs or all the Motocross Amateur Nationals, whatever it is. Have you guys tapped into rider testimonials or anything like that to educate somebody that might not have access to an event that you're going to be at, to where they can physically test it themselves, but maybe hear from others of how that goes?
Yeah, and really at the end of the day, word of mouth is our biggest marketing tool. We don't do a whole lot of marketing because we don't really have a problem selling products. We have a problem making products. Mm-hmm. There's so much that goes into the Flexx handlebar that really that's kind of our problem is sourcing enough material and all that to make, enough bars to meet the demand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit of a balance there where, having to do the demos. And unfortunately I would say that, like you mentioned, people ride with the bar and it's usually a different discussion. So for some folks, they have to ride with the bar. Some folks, they look at the bar and they think, oh man, that's really going to help with my arm pump or my carpal tunnel or tennis elbow or whatever it is. But yeah, as far as kind of getting that message across, yeah, it's been really through demo events, word of mouth. Really, I would say word of mouth is the biggest, the rider testimonials. And, one guy buys a bar, he's a big fan of the bar, he talks to 3 of his buddies. That's a big help for us for sure.
What's the advertising spread look like for you guys? Do you just stick to social media and what you can control yourself? Are you, are you doing stuff with publications like Racer X or running Google AdWords or doing event activation? What does it look like for you? And I know it probably changes from time to time, but overall, what are some things you've leaned on in the past?
Yeah, so it definitely changes. I would say it changes every couple of years just with where we are in the marketplace. When we were first getting started, Chris and Cole, they did a bunch of print ads with Dirt Bike and, Racer X, Dirt Rider, all that stuff. Now we don't really do any print stuff, to be honest with you. I think the only print thing that we do is a small little wrench ad in the back of Dirt Bike magazine, I believe. And I think the only digital ad that we're doing right now is, I want to say, with like ATV Scene. But yeah, we're not doing a whole lot of marketing. Like I said, our big thing is making enough products to sell them. We can't keep up with the demand right now. So is
that what keeps you from being more on the offense with your marketing? If we're getting far more demand than what we have now, we're not going to be able to keep up.
For sure. Yeah. Our big thing right now is that we can only make a certain amount of bars every year. Right. And a good chunk of those are allotted to retail customers and dealers. And then at that point, we're playing with a really small number of bars for rider support. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's
what a problem to have, huh?
Right? Yeah, it's a little different dynamic for sure. And I kind of wish we've gotten some machines here. We're pulling production more in-house. So, hopefully in another couple of years, we'll have a bunch of handlebars on the shelves and
Sure.
plenty of inventory in stock. But
Yeah, absolutely.
for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, it's hopefully you guys are able to supply. More and more people get their hands on this technology and try it out. I'm excited to see it for myself and try it out. Man, it's such a cool technology, and I've just always been intrigued with such a simple product, the handlebar, that is usually one solid piece of material, and you guys found a way to reinvent that and make that better. What are some of the ways that you lean on your athletes, or things that you request them to do as far as showcasing the product, or maybe talking about it at events? I mean, is that something that you have those conversations with people that are quote unquote sponsored riders, as far as what your expectations of them would be?
Yep, absolutely. And a big thing is the rider testimonials. That's one of the few things that we require out of our top guys. With our amateur riders, it's not such a, obviously we appreciate it. We put it in the amateur contracts that we would like the rider testimonials, but with the pro guys, the promo guys, it's one of the requirements for sure, because it goes a long way, especially with those top guys.
Who are some of the athletes that you're working with, whether it be 4 wheels or 2 wheels?
Man, it's, I would say some of our top guys are going to be, we've got Stu Baylor, Walker Fowler, Adam McGill, Destry Abbott, Supercross and Motocross guys. We have Colin Jurin. I would say really East Coast and West, it's going to be, we've got the Purvines race team too. So we have Mason Ottersberg, Tyler Lynn. I know Tyler just went back to GNCC last week. But yeah, we don't, one big thing on our rider support side is we don't pay anybody to run the handlebars. Everybody that runs them because they want to run them. And that's a big part of it too, where at that point they kind of take a personal ownership in it, right? If we're paying them to run it, it's a little more of, oh, well, they're paying me, whereas if you're not paying a guy, they really just run them because they believe in them. And that goes a lot further. Man,
the more that I got into the business side of the sport the last several years, I was surprised how much that's the case, from a graphics side all the way to handlebars. I mean, I was surprised how many athletes, because I think the fan at home is like, oh man, these people are getting paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars by everybody that has a product on that person's bike, or whatever it is. And in some cases, if you're, an Eli Tomac, pretty much everything he runs, he's probably getting some type of compensation for. But I've realized it's not that case. And a lot of times it's, the deal that the rider has is, hey, you can use this product, and it's because they want to use that product. And I found that interesting, and it was something that was cool for me to learn, that there is that side of it, even at the highest level, that, your riders, yes, Walker Fowler had quite the intro on the Paul Mack show, but Walker Fowler is one of the greatest 4-wheel motorsports racers that's ever been, and he runs your product, right? Dusty Albert, you're talking about some of the best guys that the sport's ever seen, runs your product, and there's obviously a reason for that, and I think that's pretty unique.
Exactly.
What's next? Obviously we're in the middle of, hopefully coming out of, depending on who you talk to, we're in the middle of a weird situation right now with COVID-19. What's the rest of the year look like for you guys, as far as, being able to do things that maybe you had planned on? Have those been taken off the table? Is it business as usual? What's it look like now from an offensive, defensive standpoint? Are you guys kind of hunkered down, hoping this thing passes? Or are you still pushing forward?
I'd say a bit of both. Early on, I think everybody was pretty conservative, right? Those first couple of weeks, we didn't know which way it was going to go. And then I think once the power sports industry got hit as hard as it did, it was kind of confidence inspiring to most of us. We had a lot of people, whether it be dealers or vendors, had more work that we could handle, which was good. But we did have some stuff that we kind of put on the back burner. We've been working on some new stuff on the mountain bike side. We have a handguard we're getting ready to release on the mountain bike side. And then we're going to do a mountain bike bar with an aluminum handle as well, just to drive that cost down. That's cool. And that we were expecting that to be out sometime near June-ish, but with that whole thing, the whole COVID thing happening, it kind of, put us back a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but I think we'll probably have it out maybe September, October.
Yeah. So you still found a way to get through and do what you need to do. It's just kind of pushed the table back a little bit.
It was just a matter of not putting resources towards product development for the time being. It was more just being a little conservative with where the finances went.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, where can we find more information about Fasst Company or the Flexx Bar if somebody's interested in it? What's the website? What social media are you guys most active on? What are some athletes maybe that folks can go and check out?
So the Fasst Company Moto side is going to be just Fasst Company, FASST COMPANY. So 2 S's in Fast. It'll be Fasst Company at Instagram and Facebook. The mountain bike side is Fasst MTB everywhere on Instagram and Facebook.
Cool.
FASST MTB. And same with the website and social channels and all that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you being here. It's an awesome product. I can't encourage people enough to check it out. If we get our hands on some here at the studio, we'll definitely show you guys and do some content on here for you to be able to see it as well. And yeah, I mean, check it out. Jason, I appreciate you being on the show with us today. It's been interesting to learn about the product and what you guys have done to promote and grow that. So, man, we appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the show, and I've been watching it since the beginning. So
cool.
Yeah,
we appreciate that too. We appreciate that. Hey, we'll see you guys next time. And Jason, thanks again for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks again, man.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impakt Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpakt.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.